Thank you very much, Lloyd. It's lovely to be here in Fort Worth and welcome everybody at home and, of course, who sat here in the arena to the main stage once again, where we hop ourselves over to Pool B for a little bit of action. We've got Sentinels revitalized, reinvigorated after their performance in Salt Lake City, taking on Complexity, a team who are in the hunt for one of those Halo World Championship spots.
Yeah, and a very, very important second place finish for Sentinels, of course, in Salt Lake City. And I would say it's a placing that many would say they deserve, right? Those players back on top where they belong.
Yeah, certainly. And it's the manner of the second place as well. It wasn't kind of a fluky second place. It was taking down FaZe not just once, but twice, the previous winners of that previous event as well. And it's a roster like they mentioned on the Des. Wes was talking about this has overcome kind of personal mental hurdles as well. LethuL tweeting out about how important that winner was against FaZe, how much it meant to him as a player for his self-belief. And on the other side of that stage, like we mentioned, Complexity, a little bit of a different aim for them this event. It's all about getting to the Halo World Championships, making sure that you are at the premium event of this year.
That's right, of course. And let's not forget on the other side, Complexity, top 8 ceiling for them. Top eight at each event outside of DreamHack, where they place top 12. The question is, can they go even further here at what many would call the most important event of the year as you get that seed for the Halo World Championship?
Well, first game of the day between these two squads is going to be King of the Hill on live fire. So look out for who picks up that overshield earlier, or if it's going to be one of the teams deciding that getting priority of that hill is their first point of call.
The question really is, can Sentinels do it again? We've seen now not just a glimmer of greatness, but an amazing event. Good team shots coming in early on, an amazing event for them in Salt Lake City. And as we said all season long, top 8, top 12 was never going to be big enough. Spartan already catching faces on the sandbags. Top 8, top 12 was never going to be good enough for these players. We knew that. And now they've found themselves back at the top echelon of competitive Halo.
Well, consider my eyebrows raised for two reasons. One, that shot from Spartan, and two, for how high your voice went early on in the car. That was quite something.
Yeah, actually concerning for me as well.
Gilky, though, looking to get Sentinels out of that first hill. He has the first overshield of the game, but as you can see, Spartan already doing more work with the sniper rifle. Means other players have managed to chip away at that OB. Sentinels still with a good perimeter around this hill, and Gilky trying to force his way in, but he's got away for this hill.
Gilky with some smoke screen needle shots there, but nice timing there on the move. Take a look at that. There was 3 stacked on B coming in for Sentinels. Instead, Complexity very well times their push to come around B and make sure that they're going to be able to get some time here.
Yeah, pretty classic start to this first hill, as you often see one team who kind of prioritizes going for that early hill time, then the fight for the overshield. Usually that will be won by the team who didn't prioritize the first hill due to positioning, and then we see a fairly tight game where everything starts to get kind of tied up. This next fight is the big one, because this is the go-ahead fight if you kind of follow my path here. If Sentinels win this one, having dealt with the overshield and the impact that has, then they should be able to cap this. But if Complexity win it, it becomes a much more dicey affair.
Very nice play there from Gilky. Look how long he stayed alive and able to challenge once again. Stays alive in the back of B, and now will continue scoring for the squad. The repulse maybe enough. No, LethuL wins the 1v1.
Yeah, really important win that from LethuL as well. Finding a way into that hill is so important. There's a Shroud, which is such a smart position, actually, from Spartan. He's going to deny all of those lines of sight from pillars, from Nest, from top mid, and he can slide in with that heatwave. Sentinels do get the break on this hill. You can see Complexity, they're spawning over by the overshield. This could be the last push, or maybe Complexity might give this one up.
You make a great point on that Shroud. We'll get back to it, though, because the point's about to wrap up here.
It's going to be the first point going to Sentinels, and with 2 kills going their way as well, Gilky now has to play his life. And the rotation looks like it'll be won by Sentinels as well. So Gilky has to use this overshield now to break the setup, to break this hill hold. But he's getting hunted down at the moment, and Spartan is doing all sorts of damage to the OS.
Just like last time, right? Same exact thing. Spartan flies in to make sure to do enough damage to take the entire overshield. Oh, but Gilky goes for the mini-meek clamber. Doesn't come through as he's not able to grab it there, just off the pace. He will be taken down. But that's the second time in a row where Spartan has perfectly prioritized the Gilky overshield and taken it down almost single-handedly.
Control still here for Sentinels as well. You can see LethuL stood inside of that hill. Sniper coming up in a few moments' time as well. And if Sentinels get control of that with this tower side already locked down, then it might be a really good opportunity for them to lock this hill down as well. But a couple of kills go either way. Bubu now left on his own. It will be Karmea who now picks up that sniper rifle. So Complexity get the break, and it was a smart push through the cuts from 2 players that allowed them to do so.
Look at Karmea. Normally, as anyone who's played enough time on Livefire would know, normally you can get away with just taking that box route to tower, but they had so many guns from dummies as well as top mid that he doesn't even get away with a snipe.
Okay, they're trying to be a nuisance here, and he manages to pick up the kill on KingNick as well. So does his job perfectly, manages to get 2, which means 2 Complexity players will be falling. As Sentinels try and now make this break. Spartan, he's inside of the hill, but Karmea with the double kill. Now leaves responsibility here for bubu. Does he try and challenge this with a heat wave? He smartly backs away. He knows that OS is coming up in 20. And also, he doesn't want to give this heat wave over to Complexity as well.
Very tricky timing there. You can tell as the last player alive, and with the overshield coming up in 18 at the time, it was a very difficult play call. Instead, he goes to scoreboard, wins a very important 1v1. Now they're set up for the overshield purely off of the 1v1 from bubu.
Yeah, he wins that 1v1. Keeps the heat wave. Karmea, though, can't hit the headshot. And now bubu, who made that decision, it's been vindicated. He's inside of the hill. He's pushing with the rest of his team. He's got the overshield. He's got the heat wave. He's a walking tank right now.
They've got all the pieces of the puzzle. Good time to get to a Sentinels listening here on the second point.
Double still. I got him.
Nice.
Top A plus.
I spawned it.
Top
And A plus. Top in. Or one shot way wall. Gilkey.
Cuts right now?
Cuts. Looking cuts.
Yeah.
Shots.
Nice.
They're gonna be on.
Gilkey was big, yeah. They're gonna spawn green
Yeah,
for
big or weak. Karmea weak, Joe.
Alright,
I'm
yeah,
not playing.
Gilkey there too.
One shot, Rat.
I have nades.
Nice. Gilkey.
And A plus.
One
Karmea,
shot,
Karmea,
that's Tusk.
Karmea.
I threw
got two.
he wave
Nice,
off the
nice,
map.
nice.
What was that's one shot, Tusk?
I'm watching. Yeah, I'm watching big.
Yo, go A plant in a couple seconds when we have timing.
Alright,
Like,
I'm
just
here.
play
Two
spots
tunnel,
together.
I'm gonna die.
Okay.
Where?
Two.
I have shots. Another guy
I
back
can
here.
play tunnel.
I'm looking for green. And a guy top mid. Top mid
One
gonna
shot
kill
back
me.
green, big door. One shot big door.
Hey, plat to top mid.
Yeah.
He might be looking for you.
He's gonna.
Yeah,
Yeah, big side.
That PR's.
Yeah, big.
I'm walking tunnel.
It's wicked.
Just jail, one shot. And one down computer.
Coming in the
Two
vent,
jail.
in the vent, in the vent.
Yeah,
Alright, two jail, Karmea's one
Yeah,
shot.
behind you, Mike.
In the vent, one in. One shot Q-door. Check Q-door, man.
Nice. Alright, so
Don't die, don't die. We're gonna spawn up soon.
Heat wave.
Shot, Rat.
One shot,
Yeah.
he's gaming. One shot.
Cuts. You went
Mike, I'm
cuts.
cutting left, I'm going left.
I'm probably dead here.
Yeah.
I don't see cuts. Cuts
Good
to computer,
start.
he's coming back computer.
I'm looking.
Looking.
That,
Alright, there's
just
our
stop this hill, stop this hill.
Yep, and
Yeah.
10 seconds for
I'm
heat wave.
hitting Rat with TJ.
Back
Yeah.
small, back small.
Okay.
KingNick,
Do
back
that,
small
do that.
weak.
Dead.
Green
Behind me,
touch,
jail,
yeah.
jail.
I'm holding W
Yeah.
side for lower
He's in. And heat waves up too. Heat waves up too. Yeah, this ball
Two.
now.
Big. Alright, OV in 15, heat waves up.
Plus is one shot, no.
Top
Boston.
mid.
We're just giving. Make sure we get this
Yeah.
OV.
Yeah, small door.
He wave up
Yeah,
too.
show
He
me
waves
top
about to
mid.
be up. That's mid weak.
I got one, I think. No, yeah, I got.
Bottom computer.
Yeah, white wall.
So as the Sentinels listening finishes, the Complexity game starts. They get that first kill on the board, and it was such a strong hold. And I kind of wanted to highlight how this game is not out of hand for Complexity yet. We know that this overshield hill is the money hill. If you can lock it down off the back of a big winning garage, this game could be tied up.
Really good here. Karmea was your last player alive. He does grab the snipe. He has to retreat. Tries to hit a wild no-scope attempt there. Gets away though, and he's going to force these nest spawns. Let's take a look at how this push plays out.
Yeah, LethuL trying to hold him up at the moment on that nest box. Manages to get a trade, move on the flank. Karmea stops that immediately and shuts it down, but hill time will worry now. They need to get near that hill. They need to start pressurizing because Sentinels already 2/3 of the way there, and they have not been contested. Spartan's been pretty much untouched with that overshield inside of the hill. Finally, Karmea is going to hit the body to make him a little bit weak, but someone has to push. Someone has to get the kills, otherwise they're giving this one up.
And looks like, look at this, just perfect stacking coming in. The point will go 3-1 now in favor of Sentinels. How fast they converted there and took advantage of the 3 dead off the break of the overshield, excuse me, off the break of the hill and never looked back.
I mean, maybe I have to question the decision making from Karmea in that situation.
The time it took on the route, yeah.
Yeah, at the time it took on the route, but also, if you want to try and contest that hill, yeah, you might give the snipe away. Maybe you give up tower control, but at least you elongate that hill. He had time to get into position to at least challenge with KingNick, and instead decided maybe to prioritize the tower and the cell for the next one, but time starts to be a factor here. 2 minutes 30 or so left on the clock. This top middle hill usually takes a huge amount of time out of the game. So looking back, maybe that's something to reflect on.
It is. 1 dead for each side here. Big turning point. If we could see Complexity get even more points on the board here in an uncontested run, they could be back in this with 2:20 left on the clock, but still a tall order.
Enemy team took the hill.
bubu being a nuisance, just dropping down the chimney. After stepping into that hill, meaning it as elusive as ever. Numbers are tied up in the game at the moment, but Complexity stand in the hill, and here comes Santa Claus, but back to front. Doesn't get the back smack this time, but does clean it up nicely. 2 dead here for Complexity, make it 3, and bubu's still alive, still a nuisance, and hunting down the final Complexity player.
Very big there, 3 dead. Gilkey's your last player alive here on cuts. He's not going to be long for this world. Very nice shots from bubu as well. Now with the overshield popping as well, this is going to be big here, and you should be able to close this one out with big pressure.
Yeah, complete control of the overshield side of the map. Sentinels, bubu's going to get info on when those spawns have come in, and now Complexity really are up against it in this game, number 1, because Spartan, you don't need to give him many advantages, and overshield certainly is one he loves to have. He can challenge all 3 of these Complexity players, back them down, stop them pressurizing, And second by second, that hill is getting closer to being completed. The Sentinels closer to a 1-0 series lead.
Finally gets taken down, but I love how much time he spent in the hill. Look how far away they are from that fourth game-winning hill. Really only one push left.
Bubu, a little bit more spring in his step than what we saw from Gilkey a little bit earlier. Finds one. KingNick as well, he'll be taken down, and now Complexity kind of falling apart here at the end of this game. Bubu finds that final kill, picks himself up a killing spree as Sentinels find themselves with a 1-0 series advantage.
And not just that, but outslaying their opponent 61-45 in that game. It's a huge slaying margin coming in from Sentinels, and exactly the kind of place that they wanted to pick up here in their game one on the main stage. They will take the series lead 1-0.
LethuL Spartan, understandably, after his performance in Salt Lake City as well, he really was the standout player for the team. Well, he started off with a positive 10 in game number 1, 22-12 for the man in your screen.
Leads the game by a huge margin as well. Now, bubu was not far behind with 18 kills, but if we look at the highest kills on Complexity, those are only coming in the form of 14 from KingNick. So for Spartan to be on 22 tells you just how different of a page these two teams were on.
Certainly was a matchup that didn't look too close, to be honest, in that first game. Maybe it's not a Complexity game type, maybe it's one that Sentinels love, but you just felt a lot of key decisions were made correctly by Sentinels and maybe not so much by Complexity, the two that stand out for sure. Karmea play up on the tower, not challenging that hill, but also the bubu play. This one here that we're looking at right now on the replays, where he keeps the weapons in their control, gets the first pick, and then allows his team to move forward.
And really, I think it was a story also of Sentinels just really doing the hard work in the slaying department that then paved the way for them to be the decision makers throughout the entire game. It felt like you were always cutting to a Complexity player who only had 1 or 2 teammates alive, who was in a desperate situation, waiting for teammates to spawn and hoping the next push would be the one. Sentinels really just laying down the slaying control that paved the way for success.
Yeah, it's interesting to see if Complexity can bounce back. We always say the Slayer is a little bit of a tighter game type when it comes to the strategy of it. It's a very simple game where you just have to outkill your opponent or survive a little bit longer than them in certain situations. And Streets is a map that we know any team can take off of each other, especially if you get those rockets in your hand and you start to stack up those weapons around the map.
Yeah, certainly. Complexity needs to take a really good look at this game number 2 and realize, hey, even though we're going up against a team that is now second ranked here coming into this event, we need to realize it's a Street Slayer. It's one game type at a time. We've come here for a reason, as we said, needing to not only break that top 8 ceiling maybe for their own morale, but also when we think about Worlds guaranteed qualification, there's a lot to play for here, of course, as we get into the final events of the season. Complexity now maybe an opportunity to tie the series 1-1, or will we see Sentinels take a 2-0 series lead?
Well, here's some Slayer stats for you from Salt Lake City, our most recent event. Spartan in the positive, Gilkey in the positive as well. We'll have to see both of them do something pretty special for their teams if they want to either get a 2-0 advantage for Sentinels or get themselves back in the series for Complexity. But I kind of like what Wes was talking about in the desk. Sometimes Gilkey just has one of those games, has one of those series, and you're hoping it maybe is a series that's a little bit later in the tournament, but certainly starting off hot here might be a good way for Complexity to start to believe.
Start things off with Gilk himself. We'll see what he can do in the L. Knows there's going to be a lot of pressure and a little bit of a baiting and switching. Spartan, though, love the move. Take a look at the shields. Barely gets away, so does bubu, but it's a very nice job for both of them to retreat with the rockets and only 1 kill apiece.
Spartan versus Nick, a little bit of an unfair fight. Nick probably thinking in that situation, who throws a shoe?
Honestly.
2-1 is going to be the score, though, for Sentinels. Spartan still with 1 rocket to play with as well. And I always find it very interesting now. We have this cat and mouse game between teams who have the rockets, don't have the rockets, and there's so many positions on Streets you can kind of bait one out. And I think Complexity are trying to do that, but Sentinels trying to overwhelm other areas of the map as well, as Tusk this time will feel the wrath of the rockets.
A little bit of splash damage there from the laundry coming in. 4-2 now is the lead. As you say, Spartan just holding here B-rails, and now the rockets are emptied. We should see that cat and mouse slowly change into this next rotation. Spartan going to push back Tram.
Picks up the Shroud on his way through as well, so even if he comes under a little bit of pressure, he's going to be able to survive for the extra 2-3 seconds, maybe get a little bit of assistance. So you would say that usually you're looking to be within an arm's length of your teammates here on Halo, or certainly covering their angles. Spartan has the ability to maybe just take a little bit of a wider angle. Instead, he's going to Shroud off that B-rail to allow the rest of his team to kind of flood without any cross-map fire coming in from Complexity. Now he tries to move in on Gilkey. Gilkey has the red gun and needed it there in that 1v1.
Very nice job there from Gilkey. His POV would have been shaky as well, but he gets the job done and also lives to tell the tale. And what an interesting pace to this Street Slayer here. Very untraditional. These two teams really playing this game as if it's a game, honestly, much later in the tournament.
Gilkey can't quite connect with his shots. An opportunity to hit the 3 on LethuL there, missed one, and then Came under pressure from the red room as well. It's good teamwork by Sentinels, baiting and switching themselves. As the Rockets now the priority for both teams. Complexity with the man down, make it 2 men down though, means Sentinels are going to have an easy path to pick up a power weapon once more.
Fal's going to take the easy route right into Laundry. First rocket goes, does not connect. However, it will be a clean rocket grab and now a 5-kill lead for Sentinels.
Once again, the game just slows down. Sentinels making sure they value these rockets, making sure that they get into a position to guarantee a kill with them. There's one. KingNick flies out as well, and too many targets for Falcated to pick, and kind of ends up picking neither.
Really interesting that both teams have been okay with this pace so far. 12-10 now. Sentinels only up by 2. Despite both of those rocket grabs, you gotta give credits to Complexity here for keeping this game within 2 at this mark here. We're almost at 3 minutes total of play with only 23 kills total on the board.
Yeah, it's really, really great point you make there. You know, what happens if Complexity get a set of rockets?
Yeah.
It's not just the guaranteed kills, it's the potential flood. Spartan challenging Gilkey. Gilkey switches to the old school AR just to make sure that things didn't get too dicey in that situation. Tusk gets another, and now it's a 1-kill game. Karmea, he has a weapon to play with now. Stalker rifle in the hands of Complexity.
Once again, incredible from Complexity to keep us within 1. Now make it 2, however, still just a game that's going to be decided by 2 kills. Very crispy shots on LethuL as well. Brings the game now tied, and Complexity gets into the lead for a moment as well.
Just a second. Trades flying through. There's a word in there somewhere that was the correct one. Karmea having to back up, and it was like when players value the weapons. We saw what bubu did in that first game, right? Keeping that heat wave away from your opponents, making sure that you still have an advantage in a fight. Karmea knows that he has a lot of responsibility with this weapon in his hands, but his teammates falling elsewhere. Now he's got the 1v1 with Spartan, has to slide out, has to challenge, because he knows he's got to at least trade the situation. Does so, but it's Sentinels who come out with the advantage. 1 kill in the favor of them.
Still so close here, as we said. The pacing's been so interesting. LethuL should get what will be a 3rd rocket for this side. Does not get away, though. The pre-nades come in very nicely. Falcated maybe will get them. Has not grabbed them just yet. They're going to stay right here on the palm tree.
Selfless play, though, from LethuL. Falcated wins the 1v1, and by throwing them back towards a teammate, now Spartan has them. Spartan finds one. Karmea trades out that battle rifle kill. And Sentinels still have the 1-kill advantage. Complexity have not had their hands on these rockets.
They've not had their hands on the rockets, yet they've kept the game within 2. Let's see what the comms sound like here with listening with Complexity.
You might get triple pushed out.
11.
Middle weak as fuck.
You guys can't live.
Fuck, top C,
No, I need one shot.
Yo, back A up, you guys. What the fuck?
I wanna-
Back A's party. Back A's party. He's going on the sensor.
Enemy halfway to
You guys, guys.
He's playing for you, yeah.
Yo, let's clear
I
out
have
CJ.
a wall,
Yeah, that's
guys.
my way. Playing C.
I'm dead. It's
Top C.
I spawn PD. I spawn PD.
Purple guys, you guys purple party.
I'm going left.
Purple killed me, guys. 2 purple, 2 purple. One's ATM.
Ivy was weak, Jesse.
I have some.
The 2 ATM, guys. Be careful.
Yeah,
Push
he's
purple?
weak. I'm getting this
Let's
top.
play Swing's party.
Top C,
Let's
nice.
play Swing's party.
He's one. Fuck, I had to reload. Nice.
Yo,
Pick up
purple,
Stalker,
guys,
Stalker.
guys,
There was
Yeah,
one there.
more Ivy.
Top C,
Yeah,
top C,
yeah.
top C, two
Missing like an
guys.
A guy, I think.
One top C, they're gonna have a stalker.
Okay. I got our purple.
I spawn
corner.
PD, we
I'm
spawn
not
PD.
moving. I'm not moving.
I'm going heaven. They have any soccer right?
Yeah.
Driveway,
Bottom C,
music,
soccer.
driveway,
You
music.
guys should play
guys.
B. You guys should play B. I'm okay over here.
Push this guy, music.
I think they beat us there. What goes inside B already?
No, driveway, we can go.
Driveway, soccer guy, he got me one shot. He
There's 2 B
might
side.
push us.
They could go from mid.
I have purple. You guys should look at B and
Be real, DJ.
We don't drop. This guy music.
Yeah, I think they're trying to walk up mid.
it might do the
Music
B.
is soccer.
Yeah, Laundry weak.
Inside
Bench
B?
is weak,
Soccer,
Bench is weak,
soccer,
DJ.
fucking, this guy music. Soccer, we say.
Absolute spikes. They're going purple, guys. They're going purple,
Look,
guys.
B Jason.
Play B,
the
play B,
Jason,
play B,
the
play
2
B.
B out there. Push B, tires, soccer. Active miners.
Tires, one shot.
As we jump back into the game and out of the comms, it seems like Complexity almost play better when Sentinels have the rockets at the moment, because Sentinels are taking the game over, and we're seeing the first established lead in this game now. It's a 6-kill advantage, and speaking of rockets, well, surprise! They're going to be picked up again by Sentinels. 2 for 1 here for Falcated as well, and Complexity not looking at the races in this game, number 2.
Neon Streets has not been kind to Complexity over these past few moments. You saw KingNick actually holding the angle with Sentinel Beam, and you could tell based off observer mode, none of the pressure was coming in there, even though he was holding that angle quite well. In other circumstances, that could have gone very well for them. However, the game's really just come apart here, falling out of hand in terms of these last few Sentinels pushes. That's 4 rocket launches in a row.
Certainly is, and that's going to usually make the game a lot easier to play if you're Sentinels. 38-29. Time for a little bit of bandit action from Spartan.
Maybe a little bit of extra flavor, extra flair. And then in the form of the Bandit, picks up one. A little bit of damage as well on the stairs, and now just a home stretch here. They're up by 9. 40-31 in a game that was essentially tied at the 26 mark.
Yeah, Complexity going to have to really be careful with their deaths here.
5 minutes
Cannot afford to trade in a Slayer in this situation. Have to make sure it's a run, and Karmea again taken down by LethuL is going to just give the indication and the green light for Sentinels now to just push up and try and close this game out. 1 kill goes down in the favor of Complexity. Gilkey manages to find 2, but here's a flank. Gilkey's still alive, still being a nuisance. LethuL says enough is enough.
1 dead for each side here. Not over just yet, 42-35. And with 4:34 left on the clock, let's see what Complexity has up their sleeve. Can they bring this game back within reason?
Are they going to have time to maybe challenge for a rocket launcher of their own? Spartan trying to contest, Gilkey pushing him back. Another kill goes the way of Complexity, and we have seen some pretty wild comebacks here on the streets. KingNick with a stick onto Falcated as well, and now Gilkey wants to challenge LethuL, spraying again with that AR. Tusk gets another, and all of a sudden this game is within 4. It's within 3 as Karmea finds another kill.
This was a 9-kill lead, don't forget it. This was just a 40-31 game, now 42-39. Spartan finally gets a kill on the back of Tram, now make it 44-40.
Where do those rockets go though? Went over to KingNick. He finds 1 onto bubu dubu, but I think that was a 1 kill for 2 rocket trades. So rockets are out. It's still a 3-kill difference between the 2 teams, but Complexity making this extremely interesting towards the end of this game.
As you said, you have to wonder now, 46-44, only a 2-kill game. You have to wonder what things might have looked like if Complexity could have gotten their hands on more than 1 out of 5 rockets so far. Still a 2-kill game.
2-kill game here. Only 4 deaths to play with, 4 deaths, excuse me, for Complexity to play with, so they're not going to be able to make too much progress on the map. They've got to cover each other's backs. And Spartan knows that. He sees a little hole in the setup. He runs in with the Bulldog. A little bit of a bark from the dog, and now he's just put himself 2 kills away from closing this game out.
Wow, now 48, 40, 49, 46, 1 kill to go here for Sen.
1 kill to go, and it's bubu who'll find it with a perfect kill. With that Stalker rifle, Sentinels got a little bit shaky towards the end there, but showing enough resolve and enough confidence to close out the game, so making it 2-0 in the series, 1 game away now from the 3-0 sweep.
Getting data as well, power weapon kill difference. 7 kill difference in the power weapons in the end, in a game that ends 50-47. That tells you the entire story. Not only, of course, was it a difference in rocket grabs, also in the rocket conversions in a very big way. They dictated the entire pace of the game. Credit to Complexity for the comeback they did make also. Let's not forget, they were down 40-30. And in only 1 minute, 12 seconds, they brought the game to 42-40. A very impressive comeback. However, it's too little, it's too late. Sentinels will take game number 2.
Yeah, very impressive playing that final moment as well from Spartan as well. He knew that Complexity couldn't afford to push, couldn't afford to really give up any space on the map. Had to play tight, and when you got a Bulldog, it's the perfect thing in that situation. You know you're going to get a trade. But I think it was the story, like you say, and I want to give a shout out to a play there that ended up in a -1 for LethuL. It was when he went in and threw the rockets back towards his teammates. Those little things there, not only does it keep it out of the hands of your opponents, but it turns it over to you as well.
It absolutely does, and we saw that time and time again, the prioritization and the timing of the kills that come in. Of course, the work that's done as we take a look at some highlights, the work that's done for those power weapon grabs is done about 30 seconds prior, right? Whenever you're watching a power weapon grab, all the work has already been done. Everything you're seeing is the result of the last 30 to 45 seconds of coordination, and time again, it was Sentinels who came out on top.
Look at the final stats of that game as well, and it was Spartan who was a +1 in that game. Everyone kind of around the +1 or so, you would say, on the side of Sentinels with such a close game. On the other side, KingNick having a good game as well. He was +2. Gilkey a little bit heavy on the deaths as Tusk was as well towards the end with 14 and 15 apiece, but I mean, it was a close game towards the end. Sentinels do get the job done, and sometimes in a series like this, after winning so conclusively in game number 1, just refocuses you a little bit. It's like, okay, we can't afford to take our foot off the gas here. Otherwise, we know how good Complexity can be.
That's right. Falcated there just maybe edging out the MVP. He goes +2 there with the most assists on the team in a game that they win by 3. You could say that he probably had the standout performance of the game. As we do set our sights on game number 3, Stronghold's Recharge will be your 3rd map, and Sentinels right now going to continue that momentum, and you have to think, Complexity, a little bit of wind out of the sails after mounting not only a great game until the 26 mark, and then a great 10-kill comeback. At the 40 mark, they still fall short. They need to dig deep here in the game number 3.
And this is a good indication of how tough it's going to be for them to dig deep, because look at that average margin of win coming in from Sentinels on Strongholds back in Salt Lake City. +131. They're winning every game by that average margin. That is significant when it comes to Strongholds. A great record, 4-1 for them. On the other side of things, Complexity struggling a little bit in this particular game time.
Yeah, they certainly have been. And question is, can they find the magic that they found throughout different parts of that Street Slayer? Can they find that once again in this game number 3 to stay alive? Not going to be easy, though, because it feels like when each moment with Sentinels, whether you're talking about game number 1, or game number 2, it feels like just when it looks like they're about to lose the pace, they find that composure, they find that control once again, and they're going to look to do the same here in game number 3.
Why do I really want to see LethuL grow his beard out?
Oh man, yeah, a mean beard on LethuL would be great.
That's completely like irrelevant to what you were just saying, but
no, I think it's. I mean,
I think
it'll
come through thick.
In different sports, you kind of have the playoff beard, you know, and I feel like going into World Champs, a mean beard on LethuL would send a different statement across the scene. I'm in for it. Sign me up. Let me know where the GoFundMe is.
Yeah, I'm in as well. Anyway, someone who's maybe not as likely, shall we say, to have the full beard coming through. Although Bubu, good looking man. By the way, he's looking huge.
The full stash though.
He's looking huge. I mean, like.
Look at
he's been to the gym.
Everyone's in good shape this summer. I gotta say, everyone at this event's in good shape. Everyone's coming into the hotel lobby looking like...
some context on that.
What was that? Huh?
Whereas we wait for the next game to get underway, some of the players just stepping away for a few seconds just to, understandably, maybe have a little bit of a chat about what's going down. But there you go. Look, we get the wide cam. Look at the shoulders on Bubu, man. Is that lifting?
Is that just the GoPro, or is that man been in the gym? You know, speaking of
bending the lens
these
of the
players
camera.
always get these water breaks. We never got water breaks.
We have water here.
In fairness, they're working a lot harder than we are here on the main stage. Sentinels up 2-0 after a King of the Hill live fire in Slayer Streets if you're just joining us. Next up, Strongholds recharge, and Sentinels coming off of a very, very big second-place win in Salt Lake City. And you might say for the players on that roster, a very much needed win. You see smiles on the face of Bubu and the rest of the squad. This team had fallen short time and time again, needed to make a roster change, made the change, and now they find themselves in a very familiar place, back in the top level of competitive Halo, and it felt like the entire time that they were in the top 8 and the top 12 really wasn't where players of that pedigree wanted to be, where they were meant to be. Now they find themselves here with the second seed. Question is, can they continue it on a World Championship run here starting in Fort Worth?
Yeah, it looks like the game is just around the corner as well, and
you can catch all the action across every stage here at the HCS Fort Worth Major. But now back to our main stage, Sentinels versus Complexity.
2-0 to Sentinels, the series score. Looking to close this one out as we will be heading into Strongholds recharge in just a few moments. The game is loading in the background. You can see the Sentinels looking confident. They would say calm. There's a calm demeanor about them as well as they head into this game number 3, looking to close it out.
Exactly how you want to be on your first match here on the main stage. Cool, calm, and collected, however, also confident. That is clear off of their first 2 games. Question is, can they do it here in a third game? And that's really what you want to do, especially on a Friday here at a major event. You want to be moving through your series with pace. Don't leave any Slayers on the table. Don't leave any mid-series games on the table. Keep the confidence rolling into day 2, into day 3. That's what they want to do here. And we are into game number 3. Sentinels versus Complexity on your main stage.
Falcated, who's been the anchor for this team, putting up some good numbers as he always seems to do. Starts off with a kill, but there's KingNick with a double kill. And now control of A. He's going to be able to flip this one. It's interesting to see how Complexity will play this. Will they play for AC and try and spawn all of Sentinels over by pipes, or will they try and collapse here, keep them on those staggered spawns, and maybe play for B as well?
That's the question. KingNick just going to hold the angle.
Gilkey does get that kill on B.
Big trade there at B. Excuse me, avoiding the trade at B. It's a nice win for KingNick as well. That will keep 2 dead %. Momentary trip cap.
We'll note as well, if I'm not mistaken, in a scrim before this event, Quadrant and Complexity did match up, and I'm pretty sure that Complexity took this game type off of Quadrant. So they are pretty damn good at this.
Certainly says a lot. If anyone's seen any Quadrant Strongholds gameplay in the past few months, you know exactly what we're talking about. Finally, some points on the board here for Sentinels, but not before a 30-point lead comes in for Complexity.
See what the Gilkster's got up his sleeve here with this shock rifle. A little bit of a flip of the Strongholds coming in from Sentinels, although it looks like Complexity will be able to fight for B, but Bubu's being a nuisance there, and Bubu actually gets in position to get a trade and win the fight. Karmea is still alive for a few seconds, but so is Falcated.
Good connection here from Gilkey, though. He'll have to just nope out. Very nice job with the grapple. However, take a look at the scoreboard. It's about to flip. Sentinels now with a 30-point run. They take the lead.
They're really struggling to get in and around C at the moment. You can see Complexity want to play for C. They want to try and flip it, but the time it's taken them to make this decision, to be aggressive on the push, has just allowed Sentinels back onto the map, and now they get the reset onto C. They now flip B as well, and that's the difference in decision-making speed, right? Complexity didn't want to push, didn't want to take the fight, waited a little bit too long. Spartan and the rest of the Sentinels did not allow them that little bit of luxury, and now they're just flooding them. They're flying at them. They get the reset on C as well here through the eyes of Falcated, and now it's 80 points and rising, and Complexity are in the blender.
Man, as ever, perfectly timed as well. Just the fact that they were able to get that push. You saw Guilty staying alive so long on Sneaky and just getting time wasted. It was perfect timing from Sentinels, and then to get 4 dead thereafter, as you said, devastating here. Now it's 100-32.
Finally, Complexity get a few kills, and they start to work towards C once more. And they finally have stepped into it. 2 players flooding. Nick's going to be there for support as well. So this should be a conversion. And focus changing from flipping C to defending A and C at the same time. And Nick making some really good decisions here, as once again Sentinels find themselves trapped over at Pipes.
Big push here from back A though, whoever snuck through an elevator. Tusk does get taken down though, it's good awareness. Oh, Spartan almost makes it happen. Does keep things a little bit closer though with the 2 kills there at the back of the elevator.
Yeah, it's a really, really good play there from Spartan, because he then makes the player who's in tower decide to have to go and defend C, do a try and challenge A. They're going to have to time it on the cross to not take damage. All these things have to be taken into consideration, as Falcated won't trade in that situation, and B will start to flip back to Complexity. So Complexity with an element of control in this game. 3v3 on the map at the moment, but scoring in their favor.
Won't be easy here. Now they have to mount another 40-point run if they want to get this game tied again, because they let so many points slip away at the hand of Sentinels off of their second hold. However, they do continue scoring, and a big kill at the back of back gold as well keeps 2 dead, and a 1-man advantage for Complexity. Now finally that'll be evened out. Bubu, your last player alive.
Yeah, I was going to say, Tusk in that situation, if he comes out of that one with a trade and gets a double kill, that's an amazing play. But not only does he do that, he also stays alive himself, so he can have a little bit more influence on the game. Gilkey with a shock in his hands, looking to shut down anyone who tries to cross. And what the Sentinels do now? Do they have the time to wait for this camo to make a play off the back of it? Because if that fails, then you're going to see Complexity into a lead with the camo in their hands as well.
Really impressive run there, and you actually saw staggered deaths coming in for Sentinels, and Guilty's going to trade there in the end with the stick. 3 dead. Karmea is your last player alive. Desperately going to try to take down Bubu, but Bubu knows he has the cover and the camo to play the advantage here. A very good run, though, from Complexity. Take a look at the scoreboard. We're essentially tied up here at 105.
Yeah, the worry for them is they lost the camo. Yes, they got the lead, but they're losing strongholds, and now they got Bubu on the flank. Tusk gets taken down. Nick has no idea he's there as well, and even though C does get flipped, it's only going to be a matter of time until he goes back into the hands of Sentinels as well. Bubu waiting for the push to come in, but he's got the camo. He's going to have first shot advantage. He's got cover from Turbine as well. It's a triple cap again here for Sen.
Sentinels right away, right? The second they see an opening, they take it, despite a 90-point run or so, excuse me, about an 80-point run coming in from Complexity, just like you said. Right away, Sentinels identifies the camo grab. They're going to identify the opportunity for control, and they continue scoring once again here, 157-103.
Gilkey taken down as well as he tries to flood through tower to take the attention maybe off of a push coming in from Turbine, but ANC and the controller Sentinels here, you can see they're stacked up, and Bubu's the sole player here at C, so he's trying to defend, trying to survive, trying to just make sure that any push that comes in from Complexity is staggered until that help comes in. But what a hold this has been from Sen. 180 and rising, and again, that 80-point difference is back.
What's to wonder when this pressure is going to come. Yeah, they're getting some kills in gold, but has not translated to points at all. And just like that, once again, 192-103, and it looks like Bubu is just on some pretty relaxed security patrol back here at back Hydro.
Enemy teams.
And they're going to find themselves with a heavy 80-point lead.
Complexity just a little bit slow off the mark in some of these decisions they're having to make at the moment. And Sentinel's always looking to push for that triple cap as well. It didn't work in that particular circumstance, and Complexity get the trades at B to keep the scoring in their favor. So they will be starting to cut down the lead once more. Karmea flies in after hitting the green goo onto Bubu Dubu. Another trade comes in from Karmea as well. So that's 2 dead for Complexity, but 3 dead for Sentinels. Gilkey trying to get away with that camouflage as well. Can't quite connect with the headshot. They're lethal, which means that Gilk will survive. And Complexity now with a chance to get back into it themselves.
Really smart play there from LethuL, just trying to bait on the boxes. He watches the camo grab and was hoping that Gilkey would do exactly what he did. However, Gilkey just scampers away barely with the camo, and we'll see what play he can make. They find themselves down by 40.
Bubu's there. Bubu has the repulse. Nade's starting to rain down, but only going to be Complexity who feel disappointed with the situation because the camo is now gone. Gilkey is now gone. And with 2 players falling from Complexity and Karmea trying to fly into Turbine, LethuL's got some easy pickings here. Sentinels who should be able to at least work on B.
Wow, look at the timing there. Even though LethuL doesn't get that first kill on camo, Might finally get enough damage here. He doesn't get the first kill on Camel, but they really just baited out a tower so well.
Yeah, also though, Complexity did amazing as well because they managed to get the kill onto B. I think it was Gilkey who was in there. He managed to at least get the trade, they get the reset, and Complexity still have the A-B setup, so they can hold the map at the moment. Look at where the players are spread. They have great map control.
193 to 192. Complexity now takes the lead yet again, and we said it was going to be a tough run, but they've done it. About a 90-point run for themselves to now lead 199 to 192. But we've seen this story before. Complexity with a late game comeback. Can they convert here in this game number 3?
Well, Falcated has worked his way into the stronghold, and he gets a double kill as well as Tusk didn't have the timing to get that flank and clean him up. It was a beautiful frag grenade. Had that Mangala door to stop him sliding in and having an easy kill, and now flips come in once again. It's AB for Sentinels. They will be scoring, and Falcated wants to keep this pressure on.
202 now. Time continues to tick, and as 3 dead, how many times have we seen this? Karmea falls as the 4th dead. KingNick might be your first spawner, but once again, it's perfect timing on the push for Sentinels, not just to regain the lead, but also wipe the map clean.
Complexity pretty much got one more push, but bubu, he's got a shock rifle, and he gets the first scalp as Karmea will fall. Gilkey taking down no shields, and now you're going to see the flood from Sentinels. They give up A spawns. I think they're going to try and play for C here, but Spartan has a chance to take a 1v1. If he can win this one, then the reset won't come in on A, but I like the play. He gets taken down, but Sentinels, they get C in their hands.
It was a good play by Karmea, but will it be enough here? They're going to start to work on B. Tusk and Karmea need to work together here. So somehow staying alive, just battery to battery, they will start to score here.
This is getting scrappy towards the end of this game, and even though Sentinels are just a few points away, Complexity get B, they get A, and they also have KingNick with the camo, but Spawn, the former teammate, wins that battle. Camo, no use.
You have to wonder if it was an audio cue, if it was the call out, Spartan just turning around on the boxes on the jump up. Absolutely turns on the camo play, and that was a big, big turning point in this game.
Nick now with another 1v1, but help's coming in. Falcated gonna keep bubu alive as well. Sentinels putting all their cards on a flip on B here. Karmea gets a trade, but there is bubu. He gets the conversion and now floods himself and swings himself towards A.
Very nice job here from bubu. See what he can do here now. Only 8 points to go. Make it 5.
Nick needs to win this. Help now coming for bubu. Look how well he's playing his life at the moment. Nick has to back out. Complexity gets C, but they have to flood. They have to push. Otherwise, this is going to be a game going to Sentinels. There's 246. He's already on the board.
Don't see any push coming in here. B is the hero player. Not going to happen. Sentinels will close out the game
baby.
once again with some late game composure.
I tell you what, man, one of us is going to have to take some lip reading lessons because I want to know exactly what was said across the stage there. There's only one player dishing it out, and quite rightly so. A 3-0 series win here for Sentinels, and now we're going to see some handshakes going down after the tough words delivered by Spartan.
Spartan across, the first one to jump up, first one to exchange words, also the first one to get over on the other side of the stage.
Maybe he was like screaming, I'm about to head over the stage and give you guys fist bumps.
I'm gonna give you guys a handshake right now.
It was a really good series, man.
Great games. 250 to 226 is your final score here in the game number 3 with excellent late game composure yet again from Sentinels. Take a look at Falcated, 23, 12, and 7 to close out the series.
You love to see it coming in from Falcated. Everybody finding their comfortable role on this team. I mean, Complexity gave it a good go. There's a lot of situations there where you thought, wait, Complexity could turn this game around. They could make this comeback happen. But every single time they just eked into a lead, they weren't able to hold off that next push, which allowed Sentinels to just keep pulling away towards the end game as well. You have to say, like you said, late game composure is what wins you games. It's what wins you tournaments. As we've seen throughout the season so far on Halo Infinite.
I mean, look at the scores, right?
The game 2 and 3, perfect examples of it.
They tell you everything. There was ample opportunity, without a doubt, if you watch that series, ample opportunity for Complexity to win both of those game 2s, not only, game 2 and 3, not only told by the scoreboard there, but also if you watch the actual moments in the game, they had every opportunity to take those 2 games. And if they do that, right, and only a few different plays, talk about a few different kills that would have changed it, we would be in game 4 right now, right? And we would actually see Complexity with the 2-1 lead. Things would be so different. Late game composure winning the series for Sentinels yet again.
Sentinels looking good. Sentinels coming into this tournament looking to repeat or maybe go one further. Well, they started off the tournament in the perfect way. A 3-0 win over Complexity on our main stage. And speaking of main stage, Blaze is there right now with bubu.